You're listening to From Fear to Love. I'm your host, Alma Lee. Do you ever remember, or maybe you're in that situation now, being in a connection with either a romantic partner or a friend, or maybe even a work situation with an employer perhaps, where you feel completely disempowered? I want to talk about that today because I think that a lot of times it's really avoided when we seek out books or gurus or mentors or people who can influence our thinking in a healthy way. But there's one thing that I notice that's missing in that paradigm, and that is personal accountability for that powerlessness. This is not me blaming you. This is not me pointing the finger. It's not me judging you. It's not me saying, hey, this is all your fault. That's not what this is. What this is me saying the reason that you feel disempowered is because you have allowed yourself to become disempowered. Here's the thing. You've not lost anything. You really haven't. Your power is still present. You simply choose the attachment over being in control. You choose the attachment versus sharing your authentic feelings about a situation. You don't want to lose your job, so you withhold your comments and your opinions toward your employer about how they're treating you or how they're treating your coworkers or how they're handling the shift work or how they're, not being a good leader. You choose to stay in that situation because you need the paycheck. Here's what I'm saying about all of this. It's all about choice. All of it's about choice. Now, I'm not placing a value on personal empowerment over being in a connection, but what I will say is this. Any healthy, established relationship, whether it's romantic, personal, platonic friendship, working relationship, it does not matter. Any one of those relationships, if it is healthy to begin with, you will not feel disempowered. You will feel validated and you will feel as though your feelings matter. So if you're in a situation where you feel disempowered, then that means something's off. Your intuition will scream at you in the middle of the night in the realm of anxiety or panic attacks, or at least that's the way it is for me. I will wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night if I know something's not right. It will disturb my sleep. I can't ignore it. And I don't know what how you sort of portray your own misgivings in a relationship, a partnership, friendship. But when something isn't right, when something is not in alignment, your body, your system, your spirit will tell you, pay attention to that. Pay attention to it. And it's real easy to get caught up in the mindset of, well, I don't have any control. Sure you do. You absolutely do. You just don't want to leave the situation because you're attached, and that's not healthy. A healthy relationship, you should feel compelled to turn and walk away from if it is not serving your highest good. If it is not encouraging you to evolve into the highest version of yourself, it's not good for you. It's not right. The timing's off. Perhaps you are past where that person is in your evolution. And the frustration and the anxiety that you feel is your own system feeling like you're slowing down in order to wait for them to catch up to you. And that's your anxiety. And that's the panic attacks. I've experienced this recently, and not just one, but in two major roles in my life. And it came to a head over a period of 3 or 4 days, where two major influences in my life have evolved and shifted and transitioned into something different. And I got to tell you that I'm okay. I'm sad. I'm disappointed, but I'm okay. I'm okay, and the anxiety is gone. I had a panic attack the other night, waking up in, it was in complete reference to a situation with a person that simply was not healthy. It just wasn't. And I needed to express my feelings about it and sort of let the chips fall where they may. And they did. And they fell in the space where I knew they would fall. And I'm okay. I did what I was supposed to do. And I encourage you to have the courage to do the same. Because at the end of the day, when you release things that are not working for you, that are not in your highest good, that are not influencing your life in a positive, healthy, happy way, when you release those interferences, you are opening up space to allow goodness and healthy relationships to come in. And here is another aspect of that. When you enforce a boundary, you are putting the other person in the position of making a choice as to whether or not they want this relationship to continue as well. So it's important that you hold space for your boundaries. You have got to be a steward of your well-being in all relationships. If you are unhappy in your job, then you are the only person who can influence that by going out and finding something else. Maybe you need to go back to school. Maybe you need to go get some additional training so that you can do something different so that you're not caught up in the same wash, rinse, repeat cycle of working in job to job to job. It's perfectly fine to change your career path. Hell, let's see, I worked in fast food. I worked in manufacturing. I was in the military. After I got out of the military, I did some, hand to mouth sort of administrative type jobs, trying to make ends meet. That's it. Wouldn't really consider it a career, but I worked for the TSA. And then after that, I got married and became a stay-at-home mom. It was the hardest job I ever had. Then I went back and got my graduate degree and became a social worker. So you can change careers. You can change jobs, you can get an education, you can go get some additional teachings, read books, do whatever, but you have power. You're just choosing something else. You're trying to get something to change outside of yourself. And that's the point and purpose of this discussion today, is to draw your attention back inward. You have to. When you are stuck or you feel stuck in a situation, it's because you're attached. God knows I have been down that road. There is no doubt about it. I have completely been down that road. I know the misery of being attached to someone who does not feel the same way toward me. And it's all in alignment with trauma. And it's difficult to explain if you haven't been in therapy, but that's why it's so important that you do heal. It's so important that you embark on this journey of understanding yourself and why you act the way that you do so that you can evolve and grow and become the highest version of yourself while you're here on this earth. And so that you can experience life and love in a healthy way. If you're wounded and traumatized the way I was in my childhood, you cannot help but develop personality traits that are directly in alignment with protection of self. So everything that you do in your life moving forward as you grow up is a direct response to the expectation of more trauma. Do you understand what I mean? So when you don't heal, when you don't evaluate that, when you don't work with a therapist and understand cognitive structures, meaning personality types, personality traits that are developed in relationship to trauma, in relationship to your own defense mechanisms, you just consistently behave in a manner that is self-sabotaging. And I've done it. I'm sitting here raising my hand, which is why I do all of the work that I do, to act as a testament to those people around me to better understand what you're doing. I can't do this work. I can't get on this platform and profess to know what I'm talking about if I don't share my own vulnerabilities and share my own intimate experiences with my own trauma. So that being said, I'm pretty proud of myself, actually. I mean, again, I am sad. I'm disappointed. Of course I am. I wanted things to work out differently with these people, these individuals, but I cannot control anything outside of myself. I can only control my actions and my reactions. And my reactions are extremely pertinent, particularly in one situation where I was being disrespected, repeatedly disrespected. And I gave fair warning because I had reactive I had a reactive emotional outburst the last time that this individual had triggered this response in me. I realized it, I recognized it, and I explained to this person, look, this is not gonna happen again, because if you treat me this way in the future, I'm just gonna unplug. I have to. You have to understand that you are the one person, the one steward of your well-being. You have got to make sure that you are enforcing healthy boundaries, or otherwise you are going to consistently be in these situations with people who feel compelled or feel like it's acceptable to treat you anyway. So if you're in a relationship where you are being mistreated, where you are not receiving the level of kindness, compassion, love, whatever that you desire from that person, the reason that that is not happening is because you are tolerating it. It's not a blame game. It's not judgment. It's not your fault. It is what it is. And if you want it to end, you have to enforce boundaries. You have to start saying no. You have to start choosing you. That's it. You have got to look inward. And here's another thing. It is so hard when you have not done your healing, when you have not worked on yourself, and you develop these unhealthy attachments to other people. The reason that you're doing it is because you do not see yourself as someone worthy of that level of love and compassion. And with the right amount of teaching, with the right amount of healing and growth, you will be able to look inward and say, you know what, I deserve better, just like me. I know people think that I'm arrogant, or cocky or whatever. That's fine. That's not me. That's not a reflection of me. That's a reflection of somebody else. I know exactly who I am. I do everything in my power to share my narrative as authentically as I possibly can with you, in order to help and to encourage and support and inspire and motivate the people that listen to my message, the people that come to my presentations, the people who listen in on this podcast or watch the Alma Lee Show. I choose to share myself in this way, in this manner. And if other people want to judge me, that's fine. You're going to always have people who are going to seek to find fault with whatever it is that you're doing. That is not on me. Other people's opinions of me are none of my business, period. You got to heal. You got to heal. You have got to call up a therapist. You've got to ask to start working on your inner child wounds, to do your shadow work. Your shadow work meaning the stuff about you that's broken, the things about you and your personality that are problematic, the behaviors that you engage upon that cause you to sabotage relationships, the things that you tolerate in relationship are just as toxic as the person who is engaging in the toxic behavior. So if you feel that you deserve that level of toxicity, then you are allowing other people to siphon off your power. You're genuinely handing it over. You're not disempowered. You're just choosing to stay there. It's difficult because you want things to be different. But my friend, actions and reactions. You cannot control other people. You cannot make your boss treat you with respect and kindness. You cannot make your spouse, your partner, boyfriend, girlfriend love you and treat you with respect and kindness. You cannot make that quote unquote frenemy, that person that, consistently finds fault in everything that you do but says that they're a friend. You can't change any of those behaviors. Now, I'm not saying it's hopeless, but what I am saying is that you have to recognize the things that are happening outside of yourself that you are tolerating that's making you miserable. And you've got to ask yourself, why am I tolerating this? Are you tolerating it because you think you can't do any better? Are you tolerating it because you're hoping that, one day they're just going to magically change? You have to choose you. You have to say, enough is enough. This person is not behaving in the manner of which I deserve. I'm going to leave this situation, and I'm not going to allow this person to affect me any longer. These are the things that I desire in my life. If that person is not meeting you where you want to, and it doesn't even have to necessarily be completely toxic. That's the thing too, is like in a dating situation, if you're ready for somebody to commit and they're not ready, that's fine. That's not necessarily toxic. That's just two people that are not in alignment with each other, and it's okay. But if you are in distress because you want something that the other person is unwilling or unable to give you, you are the problem here, not them. You have to choose you, especially when other people aren't. It is your responsibility to be the steward of your own well-being. It is up to you to decide on how you are going to move forward in this life. One of the hardest things in the world to do is to cultivate healthy connections with other people. Because if you've only existed in attachment style connections with other people, that's all you know. And it's the tit for tat. It's the, if I give you, you give me mentality. If I give you this affection, I need you to return affection as my reward. I need something back. That is not healthy. It's not healthy. That's attachment. That's limerence. That's, you give me a dopamine hit because I enjoy the validation that I seek from you. And you give me this feeling. It's like a drug. So when you tell me that I'm, the person that you want to be with for a minute, and you tell me I'm attractive, or maybe you're having sex with somebody and you get the validation out of sex, because I've seen a lot of people use sex too. Money, shopping, gambling, whatever vice, whatever, on the other end of that, you have to realize that in those connections, that is essentially the same chemical response in your brain. It's an addictive mentality. It's not healthy. And logically, it can be so sad to just sit there with your feelings and realize that the person that you're connected to or attached to does not feel the same way toward you. But I'm here to tell you that it's totally okay. Because when you pick yourself, when you choose yourself and you realize what you're worth and that you are deserving of love, and on top of all of that, you realize that not everybody's going to love you. And you might be in a connection with someone who doesn't. And that's all there is to it. And the sooner you release yourself from that connection, the sooner you open up your heart for something healthier, for something real, for something authentic, for someone who's ready to meet you where you're at. You've got to do your healing. You've got to be your own steward. You've got to take care of your well-being. You and only you. Nobody else is going to do it for you. No matter how much somebody says they care about you, they simply cannot, because they have to take care of themselves. You have to enforce healthy boundaries. You have to be the one to say, I feel disempowered, at least to yourself, maybe not necessarily to somebody else, but you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I feel disempowered. I am worried at every turn that this person's going to leave me, and I am so attached. I feel so out of control, and I'm just sitting here waiting for this person to fill my cup. If you're in one of those situations, romantic, professional, platonic, whatever, it's time to take your power back. It's time to step outside of that and say, you know what? I don't want to feel like this anymore. That's what I've been doing. That's, basically what's been going on with me is I don't want to feel this way anymore. I don't want to lean into someone else's idea of what's appropriate. And I don't want to lean into someone else's idea of what they think I deserve. That's another thing too. You have to be the one to make the determination on what you deserve, what you desire. And then you get into that whole accountability aspect, because if you're not being accountable in your life and cleaning up your messes, then what do you really deserve? So if you think that you deserve good things, you need to do your due diligence, especially in the history of things, and make sure you're cleaning up any messes as you go along, because we're all human and we're all fallible. We all screw up. We all hurt the people around us, especially the people that we profess to love. You got to do your healing. You've got to pay attention to those aspects of you. You have got to protect your self-worth. You have got to enforce healthy boundaries. You have got to be a testament to other people about your level of self-respect by enforcing those boundaries. Love people, but let them go. When they do not respond, when they do not treat you appropriately, you can still love them, but you got to let them go, and you got to get your power back. It's not about being powerful necessarily as much as it's being in your own head and being in your own space to make good, healthy decisions without that anxious or avoidant attachment that is derivative of your childhood trauma and your inner child wound. Healthy relationships are not quid pro quo. Healthy relationships are, I'm giving this to you because I see you and I care about you and I want to share it with you, irrelevant to what you return back to me. And you can love somebody and let them go. You can love someone and set them free on their journey. You can love someone, tell them that you love them, and support them all the way and be their friend. You can do all of those things. That's all healthy. But you've got to make sure that when you lay your head on your pillow at night, that you're able to go to sleep without worrying about waking up in a panic. Be the steward. Take care of yourself. Enforce those healthy boundaries. All right, guys. From fear to love. This has been an LBM production. Please like, subscribe, and share this show. Thanks for listening.